Hey, welcome back to another episode of Gaming in the Gospel with me, Dave Wright, and David Calvert, as we discuss my book, Gaming in the Gospel. We're going through each chapter and just having discussions about all the things that are brought up in it, and then going through the questions in the back. Today's chapter, which is the first one, is Back to the Future Past. Yeah, this chapter talks a lot about our binging culture, and for me, when I was writing this chapter, I was thinking of a specific time around Christmas time in maybe 1985, it had to be like maybe 87. I unwrap my gifts and I get Chippendale's Rescue Rangers on NES.
Yeah, that's a good game.
It is a good game. We had to drive to Eastern Kentucky the same day, Christmas morning. So as soon as I got that, I unwrapped it, put it in the Nintendo, started playing it. Got about halfway through it, and
then time to go.
And I'm really frustrated.
Yep.
You know, it is like, Mom, Dad, ah. And within a couple of days, I beat the thing.
Yeah.
But like it's a pretty easy, straight through game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm talking to my mom and dad. It's like, hey, I'm done with this one. And like, what do you mean you're done with that? We just bought that. We just dropped $60 on that.
Yep.
And that happened several times throughout my life.
Oh, I'm sure, especially with Nintendo games. There's no save points.
Yeah, so you sit down, you grind it out.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the old days of Nintendo when you had to sit on the floor and like you had to angle yourself up to the TV, and it's like I feel there's some analogy there in that of how we've changed. Now we're looking down at our phones, to do stuff.
So there's a really fascinating book I read by a French philosopher. The book is called Thumbelina, but he basically makes the point that the way we posture ourselves has significant impact on how we think and how we engage with the world. And his Thumbelina, title is referencing like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and even millennials, all of us who have been formed by the way we hold our phones and use our thumbs, which that didn't happen 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And even like the way we hunch over and hold the device in a certain way, like all those postures, all those embodied things then shape how we interact with the world. And so, like the way we sit on the floor and look up at a TV, there's something happening there too that we don't think about, but it's shaping us to engage with the world in a certain way.
Wow, that's really deep.
Yeah. It's hard to go that deep that quick, but that's how I roll. So I love the fact that you start this chapter with a quote from Ernest Klein's Ready Player One.
Yeah.
So quick question, movie or book?
Oh man, this is tugs at my heart a little bit.
I know.
For me, it's the book.
Okay.
I was disappointed by the movie because I felt Ernest had to cut out a lot of his nerdy references for some of the older games. Like, we didn't get to see the kill screen of Pac-Man.
No, we saw Master Chief. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting trade-off.
And I know, like, there's all this IP, and I'm sure the studio's like, we can only do this X amount of XP in this
there was a
IP
lot,
in this game.
There was a lot in there, for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, it's definitely the book. And so, but that quote is pretty profound. You want to read it for us?
Yeah. Being human totally sucks most of the time. Video games are the only thing that make life bearable. And I do think that there are a lot of people who that's their default.
Oh, yeah, that's their mantra.
They may not have said that out loud. They may not have actually written that down. But Klein's character in the book, like he is our avatar, right? And he is saying this on our behalf.
Yeah.
And when you say it out loud, you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Ooh, yeah.
Do I like the fact that I feel that way? And that's part of the whole thrust of this book and of this chapter is that we want to help.
You good or you need to?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, a cat just jumped in my lap. When you have the video version of this, you'll be able to see these things. But for right now, I just have to narrate the fact that there's a cat in my lap now. and I am slightly allergic to cats, but I can't help but pet a cat that's in my lap. But the fact that this book exists for us to self-evaluate, to ask some hard questions, to say some things out loud, and then really really think through, is this what we want it to be?
Yeah, right.
The theme of the chapter that's kind of pervasive throughout is this idea of binging. And that's definitely shifted for me over the course of my life. Like right now, I am totally in a binge preference for the way I watch things on Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus. I do not have the patience to watch something once a week. I will wait until it's done, try to avoid spoilers, and then binge it at my own pace, which makes sense with the craziness of my life with my 4 kids and my wife in school. Like, I don't have time to sit down, but I can throw on my iPad, pop my AirPods in while I'm doing dishes and watch the show. And so the binging thing is kind of living in a different space for me in this season of my life. But there were definitely times going through adolescence, even into college, where there are untold hours of my life that I spent engaged with a game.
Yep. A most recent one for me is I bought City Skylines on Steam, which is this essentially a spiritual successor to SimCity.
Okay.
Any of the SimCity games, and it is a great game. I got it for $2 on Steam. I was like, oh man,
that's a good deal.
I'm like, I'm getting that. And I remember consciously thinking, just like it's late in the evening. It's like I'm just going to play this for an hour. I'll just play for an hour and then I'll be done, and then I'll go to bed.
Is that what happened?
No. I started playing it, and then the next day, when I went to go back to play it again, Steam lovely tells you how many hours you've spent on the game.
Oh,
and
okay.
There's a big whopping 4 hours.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's like that's not even close. Good games will do that.
Sure.
They'll suck you in and get you to this place of just one more turn, this one more thing,
one more save point.
Just do this. Just get to the next thing. Get to the next progression, and inherently, I mean, that's just good game design,
right?
But we are built to worship things. We are made to look at things and behold things, and we're always looking for that next thing of whatever the next thing is on the horizon. We're made to behold things and to look at things, and we're always looking for the next shiny thing, the next achievement, the next level in the game. If not for our own bragging rights internally, but to share with other people that we've accomplished this thing. Oh, hey, did you get to this point in this game?
No, I think it's interesting what you just said, that we were made to behold things. That's a biblical idea, like the way that we're created like in God's image, and he gave us eyeballs, he gave us ears, and he gave us opposable thumbs. And so of course gaming would be a cultural artifact that we create over time. Some kinds of gaming have been in every culture, and so that's really fascinating to think that we were made for this in some ways. And you get to this later in the book as well, kind of developing it further. Not just beholding, but what we behold, we become. What we love, we worship, and it's all a part of that formation thing. Even going back to the idea of the way we engage with our screens and how it forms us, what we look at will form us. And so, again, if you listen to the intro episode, we threw out the challenge, like if you can count every Easter egg in the book and let us know, and it is accurate, you will win a prize to be determined. But even in chapter 1, like I lost count of how many Easter eggs Dave has woven into this first chapter by telling the story of like how he first engaged with games and what he got involved with and the things that began to stand up in front of him for him to behold, and the ways that he engaged with them for so many different ways. He makes this really great illustration at one point about the fact that when you go to a legit steakhouse, so not Applebee's, but like Ruth's Chris, in our area, there's this place called the Angus Barn in downtown Raleigh. There's this place in Anger, actually, called Harvey John's. and they're right next to the butcher shop. And so they literally get these like fresh cuts, just walk them next door, and they have them to grill for you. So when you go to a legit steak place and you drop $60 on a meal, you don't pound it in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like you don't just take the whole steak and in your hands and just go. You want to enjoy each bite because you just paid, several dollars per bite if you want to break it down that way. Mm-hmm. And so when my son like gets ice cream at Sunny Skies and just like shoves the whole thing in his mouth, I'm like, what are you doing? That's not cheap ice cream, and it tastes really good. And you just got one taste out of that thing when you could have been enjoying it for at least 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so that translates over to the way we engage with gaming. If you drop $60 on a brand new AAA game and then you blow through it in one day,
yep.
What is that saying about our binging habits?
Yeah.
Like how many hours did you have to put in to finish it in one day? All 24?
Yeah.
Like how did that work?
I can remember when Diablo 2 came out, and there was a challenge in the PC Gamer magazine about this guy that beat it in 24 hours. And as soon as it came out, and I remember thinking to myself, oh man, I want to do that. Man, I want to do that. Like how dumb, because the thing is, we do need to behold things, but we need to have a correct perspective with it. Because I view video games as an art form. And just like, if you start looking at your games or whatever it is that you're doing, think about not only the design or the graphics of it, but just like the story, and just like all the little things that a programmer had to think through to make it happen, and just like why a game is good, and even getting down to the pixel level and just like trying to decide like why did the artist do that? How is it shadow created? How is this engine doing this? And it's like you can zoom out and zoom out and zoom out. There's more to behold than just consuming it and just moving on.
Yeah.
There's a level of appreciating it and taking time with it, and I think really it will just deepen your experience with it, create a more lasting experience.
Yeah, I get it. Like when my kids and I go to a steakhouse, like if they want to get out some A1 sauce immediately and put it on the plate before they've even tasted it, like, wait a minute. The chef spent time seasoning that thing, cooking it exactly how you wanted it so that you could eat it as it is. You don't need to add the cheat codes to enjoy it more.
Yeah, that's exactly
you don't need to blow through it by thinking before you even start that you've got to adjust it in some way. There's a lot of effort that goes into those expensive AAA games. There's a lot of effort that goes into Minecraft, not in the pixels, but in the crafting mechanic and in the way that they build out the maps and make it interactive. And so, there's a lot to enjoy in a game. And so for my kids, I want to cultivate that in them early on so they can begin to recognize that from the beginning. And I think in our cases, both of our dads were computer nerds in different ways. Mm-hmm. And so they already had that kind of tacit understanding of this thing took a lot of work. There was a lot of coding. There was a lot of time. So let's enjoy this. Yeah. And so we already kind of had that in the water for us as we were learning how to swim. But for a lot of gamers now, I think that they jump right in, but maybe don't have the same kind of education, as it were, to learn how to appreciate all the bells and whistles that went into Fortnite, because it's a free game, and so that's low threshold for entry, and so maybe we forget all the hours and time and art that are woven into that gaming experience.
I'm going to say something really Gen X right now.
Okay, fair enough.
Thinking about when my dad worked for IBM and him bringing home the PC Junior. Mm-hmm. And back in the days, DOS came on a floppy disk, not only one but two.
Yep.
So when you booted that thing up, you had to put in the floppy disk, and it would take a good 30 to 60 seconds to load that disk. Mm-hmm. Then you have the next disk, and you'll sit there for a good 5 minutes just booting, and then you finally get your game in, and which would be for me like Frogger or Space Invaders or something like that.
Yeah.
And just like that time, and also that time with my dad and watching him put in all the secret phrases which are all the command prompts, for DOS and everything. And just like, Yeah, I mean, I know that's really Gen X of me to say this. Like, it took so much time to get to your game, where now you can just open up a phone on your app on your phone, and you're on your way.
Yeah, no, if Halo Infinite takes more than 10 seconds to load, I'm angry. And like, what does that say about me? Right? That's one of those hard questions. Mm-hmm. Like, if I am aware of what's happening, if I'm aware of the fact that I am agitated, that I'm waiting 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I need to ask myself, why am I agitated? What's going on?
What's going on?
And a lot of it is wrapped up in this theme from the chapter, this idea of the binging of and the consumption of media. Why are we so media hungry all the time? Why are we wanting to consume this much? Why? Underneath that, why is this happening? And so that's what these questions at the end of the chapter are to kind of help us think through.
Yeah, so we're going to go through a number of these questions here that are at the end, and just so you know, like, we're really consider ourselves, we're on the journey with you guys on this,
totally,
with gaming, and it's like we don't have all the answers with this. We are asking a lot of whys, and I would hope wherever you're finding this podcast, get in the comments. Tell us about your experience. Like, what are the things that work for you? How have you set time limits for yourself, or what things have you done to improve this condition for you? So as you answer these questions, the whole point is to get a high score. So you're just adding up points. If you get the bonus question, it either multiplies or you add. So essentially the idea with the questions is that you find your high score and then you reread this book in like 6 months or a year or whenever that is, and to see if you've improved and also it's kind of a bit of a journal for you to see where you were when you read this the first time. So, all right. So first question here, how long do you usually game?
This has changed over time for me, as I kind of hinted at earlier. So during adolescence and college, when I had more time, as it were, at home or in a space where I had access to a game, there were probably 1 to 4 hours a day that I was gaming, especially in college, because like I'm a nerd. So homework at that point, like undergrad, was not difficult. And so I was not spending a ton of time having to do, like writing a paper was not hard for me. So I would blow that stuff out of the water, be done with it, and then have all this free time, quote unquote. So some of it I would use by going out and playing soccer with friends or playing Ultimate Frisbee. Some of it I would use goofing off in the hall with guys. Other times I was making sure we were all getting on the LAN to play Halo together. Mm-hmm. Or I would hop on GTA 4 and drive around for a while. Or any number of games during college would take easily that kind of 4-hour block. Usually after 4 hours, I would realize, I got to go to the bathroom. Or something would snap me out of my haze, right? Probably around the 4-hour block. Right now, I literally only have time for like 2 rounds of Halo while my kids are getting ready for bed. And that's it. And then on the weekend, maybe I can get an hour in playing, right, currently I'm playing Star Wars Outlaws. So like something on the console that I can pause easily on the weekends, and then hopping on Halo for a couple multiplayer rounds, but that's like 20 minutes. Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now.
Okay. I talked a little bit about City Skylines as the most recent thing, but I mean, I do Quake 2 Tuesdays every once in a while. Cool. And do that for a couple hours. And usually I'm trying to connect with people over Discord and chat and try to have some sort of social experience with that. And, but this thing for me, how long do I usually game? I mean, it is a couple hours, typically, especially if it's anything like XCOM or Civilization or anything. Those things will just suck you in if you're not careful.
Well, it's not like you can't accomplish much in 10 minutes.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. How much do you consume a day of TVs, videos, music, internet, and movies?
This one's trickier. That has also shifted over time because of the availability of the technology. So again, for my adolescence, like I didn't have a smartphone with immediate access to these things. So TV was a intentional sit down, turn it on type thing. Movies where you had to go to the theater. But then as internet blew all this up, and then as internet access entered our pockets, this has become a really important thing for me to regularly evaluate.
Yeah.
So I painfully appreciate that iOS has the screen time app that will track all of this on iOS devices. So it's not going to factor in my Xbox time, but it does tell me how often I looked at my phone or iPad or computer and what I was doing on those devices. And so I'm definitely watching more shows, but like I mentioned, in that weird bingey space of I'm doing dishes, I'm doing laundry, but there's something constantly playing. And so that's been another question kind of coming out of this that I've had to ask myself is like, why am I constantly engaging with a narrative? Why am I always wanting to have a story going? Is there something in my own story that I'm avoiding, that I'm putting off?
Yeah.
Am I really enjoying these stories that much? Maybe. But yeah, so that's another why question that kind of flowed out of this as I answered this. How much do you consume a day? Because the how question does force you to the why.
Yep. And that sounds like a whole other episode.
Indeed.
Do you tend to overindulge in what you're doing? Yeah, if I do not set myself up for success, I can tend to overdo it. And I haven't done a good job of guarding that, but yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, like I literally have to set a timer for myself.
Okay.
If I don't, I'll kick over. So
my kids have to do that with their iPad use now. We make sure that they set a timer on a Google device or on the iPad itself. Because if they don't, they will totally lose track of time watching YouTube Shorts, watching somebody's Minecraft stream. Yep. They don't even care what time it is. And that is a weird thing for me to behold on this side of it.
Yeah.
And realizing like they're little me's.
Yeah.
Like they learned this from me. And so that's a hard thing to process. But also, I think there's a lot of personality like that could impact the way you would answer this question. I think there are some people whose personalities are given to being more wrapped up in a single player experience or overindulging in a show that they can't stop watching or in some food that they're eating, like any number of things. Some of that can also be kind of personality connected. And so when you answer this question, maybe it'll help you think through your personality and the way that you engage with the world.
Yeah. I think I didn't answer the last one.
That's true.
Yeah, for me, it's a lot of YouTube.
Okay.
Just like we have a lot of Rokus in the house, so it's just easy. Just boop, 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 and just like scrolling on YouTube.
Yeah.
Find the next thing, the next retro thing, or 8-bit guy, or whatever.
Yeah. So you don't have a bunch of subscriptions to have to mess with, like to Max and Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus.
Yeah, we have that too.
Okay.
For whatever reason, our house in particular is deep into YouTube. My wife watches a lot of Dungeon and Dragon streams. Even Blood on the Clock Tower right now is huge.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of our watching is on YouTube right now for whatever reason. And that happens a lot in the evening. It's if I have downtime, it's real easy for me to check over that, and I have to do a conscious thought of just like, man, is there something better I could be doing right now, or am I just killing time?
So the way you have the scale for this question, if you don't have the book, the way to answer that second question, how much do you consume, is a little bit, a lot, and too much on a scale of 1 to 10. And so I probably fall on the a lot. Like I don't know if I could quantify the hours without the help of the iOS app of screen time. I think a lot is about where I'm at for that consumption.
Yeah, and the scoring goes from 10 to 1, 10 being a little bit, too much being a 1. So essentially, like, you get the higher score if you're doing a little bit. If that probably doesn't translate in the podcast, but
yeah.
But I definitely fall in the 6 or 5 area for sure.
Okay.
So, next question here: how likely are you to take breaks while gaming?
This has shifted again over time. In college, like I mentioned, I would probably only take a break when I had to go to the bathroom or if I actually realized I was hungry. Like there are totally times where I was so wrapped up in a narrative or so busy playing multiplayer that I did not pay attention to my own body.
Yeah.
And that sounds crazy when you say it out loud. But I know that there are gamers who will hear this, or that I know who have the exact same experience.
Have you ever experienced the what's the word I'm looking for? Spasms, or like your jaw locks up? Like your jaw is tense, like you stop playing, you're like, ow.
I would get, my shoulders would scrunch up a lot.
Yeah.
Like some of my tension's in my shoulders. And so even driving long distances, like I'll realize that too. But if I'm gaming for a while and I've got my arms together holding a controller, my shoulders will tense up if I'm playing something intense, pun intended. And then I have to like consciously relax them.
Yeah.
And then I would have eye fatigue as well. Like I wear contacts or glasses, and even wearing my glasses, like my eyes would get dry because I don't want to blink, right?
Yeah.
Like you're trying to get headshots, like you can't blink because they'll move across your reticle and you're going to miss it. So like, the eye fatigue would hit me, or needing to go to the bathroom or finally eat. And so nowadays I am more conscious of my body, and I have kids who constantly interrupting anyways. So I have natural breaks kind of built in, which is helpful. Like I don't need to play.
So that's how you do it, just have kids. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and even like leaving a game, like leaving a multiplayer game, even in the early part of our marriage before we had kids, if my wife hollered at me for something and I'm in the middle of a multiplayer game, I would say, hey, give me a minute. I prioritized staying in the multiplayer game so I didn't get banned or lose 10 minutes or lose the experience points. I prioritized staying in the game before, hey, what do you need, honey? And so now I actually am proud of myself that like I have very few, if any, hesitations to leave a game when my kids need something or when my wife needs something. But the fact that it took me decades to develop that discipline, please hear this as a cautionary tale, listener. Staying in the multiplayer match is not worth a relationship in person.
Amen. Amen.
So take the break. So yeah.
It's too real, Dave. It's too real. I think we already kind of touched on it. How likely are you to take your time in whatever you're doing? We talked a lot about the steak analogy and really appreciating a game and kind of seeing beyond just the next achievement in the game.
Yeah. I mean, physiologically, you're going to get the dopamine hit from the blinking achievement bar or from the XP boost or whatever flashy thing happens. And so in a lot of ways, good game design is tapped into that. They want you to feel good as you're playing through the game. And sometimes you then want to make those happen more frequently. And so you might play more intensely, and certain multiplayer games lend themselves to this as well. But, it's harder to take your time, as it were, in a Warzone match because the circle is literally closing on you, just like in Fortnite. You don't have but so much time to really enjoy all that's going on. But if you save a clip from your game, like you could totally go back and watch it. And that is a further enjoyment of what happened. Yeah. Like you can relive that moment. You can recognize, oh man, that was really cool how the physics worked from that. The lighting is great here. The fact that you can rewatch clips like that, even taking the moment to appreciate all that God has given us and the beauty of these technologies, I think that brings him glory. And give him the glory for the beauty of the thing. Yeah. Even if the game designer is not a Christian, the fact that they're doing a beautiful thing, all things that are true and beautiful and good ultimately point back to the giver of all good gifts. And so that's why we want to take our time and enjoy what we're doing.
Amen. Speaking of designers, quick nod to Dave Nash, who wrote the foreword of the book, and he's a lead designer at Epic Games. I think he's in charge of some of the new seasons of Fortnite that's coming out.
Okay.
So, yeah, and hopefully, God willing, we can get him on the show and we can chat with him. So
that'd be awesome.
So be looking for that. So there's I put a section in here in the questions. we call it installing a mod or a custom question, because I really want this to be for a group of people getting together and reading through it together, and they can put in their own question, the thing that's like challenging for them in their little group, or for yourself. You know, if there's something that's like, man, I'd like to score myself in this and be able to look back at this.
And I will say that installing a mod is an Easter egg. So you can count each custom question as an Easter egg, just to clarify. Because, yeah, that's installing a mod. That's a nerdy Easter egg thing. And so the custom question that I thought about was kind of related to the previous one. How likely are you to take your time? But be more specific, how long do you spend in a given game that you've purchased? How long do you spend in a given game that you've purchased? I think it's okay to take your time in a game that you've purchased. If you've spent money, going back to the steak analogy, if you've spent the money on this and you recognize that these designers have done a good thing, there's a good narrative in here if it's a single player game. So for Outlaws, I'm about to create a video for Stream Spawn, kind of giving my impressions of the game, because it had its mixed reviews from all the different outlets who have opinions about these things. But I got it for Christmas, so I didn't even spend money on it, but I received it as a gift, and I'm going to take my time and give the game a fair shake, because the narrative is okay, and the sound design is perfect because it's Star Wars. And there is some graphical fidelity that's really beautiful, so there are things that I want to enjoy. And so I've intentionally chosen to kind of slow down my gaming as I've gotten older so that I can really enjoy something I've spent money on.
Yeah. And there's definitely an argument for, like, you put so many hours into a game, just like you're getting your money's worth.
Sure.
The more you play it.
Yep.
I can understand that argument. And that, in the resources in the back of the book, one of the things I linked to is a Steam tracker, and it like gives you your total hours on Steam of like, and it's pretty terrifying to look at.
Yeah. I've looked at Halo Waypoint in the past to look at my hours, you know, because it's connected to my gamer tag.
Yeah.
So I can see how much I put into Halo 3, Halo 4, Halo 5, and Infinite so far. And then I think back, what was that time period? What was I married yet? Did we have kids yet? And like, those are interesting things to reflect on. Not something I want to look at every day, but something that I do need to be aware of.
Yeah, I know, like, for me, like XCOM on Steam, the first Enemy Unknown, and then XCOM 2, like, easily over 500 hours for me on those.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, man, that's weeks.
Yeah.
It's months.
Uh-huh.
It's humbling to look at that. And like I said, the argument is like, well, I got my money's worth out of it. And it's like, yeah, I guess so, but what did I truly gain, you know? So,
yep.
And that's not, I don't know. That's something I personally wrestle with. And
right.
If you do, please get in the comments and give us your thoughts on that. So,
yeah. And then the bonus question, as it were, is one that gives you a boost in score if you can answer in the affirmative. So it's not a scale. The bonus question is always a yes or no, a binary, if you will. Are you able to set time limits for yourself? Are you able? So I guess I want to clarify then, Dave. Do you mean with aid or with your own willpower?
I think when I wrote that, it was probably from your own willpower.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Because you already said you've got to use a timer.
I do.
So you have to say no?
No, I can't. That's true. I'm on the spot.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I would have to use my watch, I think. I'd set a timer on my watch, probably.
Yeah.
Just in case. Yeah, like if my kids weren't home. Again, like I've got built-in breaks, right? I've got a built-in timer of sorts because there's only a certain period of time that will pass before somebody needs something. And so if I'm gaming, it's even better if I need to go to the bathroom. That's when my kids will find me. They won't need me for hours until I need to go to the bathroom, and then knock, knock, knock. It's never fails. So if I'm gaming, similar issue. Especially if I'm playing something I'm really into it, Dad. So I still have to set timers. I think I would have to say I have to set a timer. So I don't know that my own willpower would be enough for me I need that outside help.
I will say there's been times I've been able to do that, but the
Sure.
far majority is no.
And so
Yeah.
if you have to score no, like me and Dave apparently are, that's not a bad thing if if it helps you connect to those outside helps.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things we want to also encourage. Even if you're reading this book or engaging with this podcast on your own, you are not alone.
Yeah, you're not.
And so as we navigate this together, that's part of what this bonus question helps us realize. Is like maybe we do need some help.
Yeah.
Maybe it's from our friend Siri or Alexa or Google, but it could also be from our kids or our spouse or our girlfriend, boyfriend, or our buddies down the hall or our roommates. Anybody that you're in community with, even your friends on Discord, like there can be helps of all sorts to get us into this place of avoiding the subconscious, tacit just binging of life.
Hey, Dave, is there anything you want to signal boost before we go?
I've really enjoyed getting to know the guys in Stream Spawn. That's a channel on Twitch and YouTube, and they're kind of building out things on Discord as well. Currently, there's a lot of streaming that happens on Call of Duty, and a little bit that used to happen on Elder Scrolls Online. I might hop on and stream with them some as well. But Stream Spawn is seeking to provide like fun content that is actually safe in all the ways. Because you can tell your kids to hop on Twitch and you don't have any idea who they're going to find or who they're going to follow, what they're going to see when they're watching on Twitch. And so Stream Spawn is intentionally a safe place for parents and kids. So whatever games they're streaming, there's not going to be random profanity or weird interactions. Like everything will be above board because they're believers and they want to do things that would honor God even as they're having fun playing games. And so I'll also be creating some videos for Stream Spawn, like I mentioned earlier, reflecting on Outlaws. There's a video that's out reflecting on Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag. I'm going to start to think about these games and put out some long form videos to, again, kind of help us recognize how to take our time and enjoy the things that are in there. Because, like, for example, Black Flag had so many beautiful things that it did that still have an impact on gaming to this day. Like Black Flag was the first game to really bring a robust sailing mechanic that gives us a game like Sea of Thieves 5 to 10 years later. And all the sea shanties that they built into the game. So there's historical fidelity with that. But also, sea shanties then blew up during COVID. But I already knew all the shanties because of Assassin's Creed. It's like, I was like, what? You guys are behind. I already know all these. And so, there's so many fun things about that game that I reflected on in that video. And so that's one of the things we'll look to do through Stream Spawn.
All right. And that's us on Twitch.
Yeah, currently on Twitch and YouTube. And probably building out. And there's a Discord server you can look forward to.
Okay, cool. Link in the description of wherever this is.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of episode 1, Back to the Future Past. Join us for episode 2, Out of Time Units. And if you're an XCOM fan, you don't want to miss that one.
Awesome.
Thanks for being on, Dave.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to check out the book Gaming in the Gospel on Amazon, available on Kindle and audiobook. Gaming in the Gospel is produced by Evan Staley with Staley Media. Audio recorded in the Nebthos bunker by Magic Dave. Published by Nebthos. Welcome home, travelers.